Hello and welcome to Coffee with Jenny B. It's conversations over coffee. It's about community, connections, what brings me joy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Jenny Sakopak. When you think about community, what springs to mind? Is it a gathering of people? Is it a place? Is it a thing? Is it in person? Is it online? Community can be all of that. Community can happen organically, people coming together in a neighborhood, in an area. But sometimes community can come together for a purpose, where there's a need, where there's an action that needs to take place. My guest today is someone who truly believes in the concept of community. Not just community for himself and his family, but also creating a sense of community for those that are truly in need. I met Daniel Hidalgo, who is our guest today, at another community event organized by my friend Amy Tung. It was I Am Love Project. And Daniel gave an inspirational speech about the work that he's doing in his organization, Community 204. And I was so taken by his story and about the work that he's doing for the community that I wanted to bring him on this program and have him share his passion and the good work that he's doing in the community. So please help me welcome Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Yes, it finally worked out.
Yes, it did. Now, I know that you are extremely busy with everything that you're doing, so not just the work that you're doing with Community 204, but also as a father, community activist, and probably a dozen other things that you're doing.
Yes.
So let's talk about what exactly is Community 204.
Yeah, so basically Community 204 is a community engagement platform where we have created several entry points for youth and other members of the city to give back to the city. And you know, that's opened up the doors for a lot of unity, a lot of heart work, a lot of connection, and a lot of uplifting the city to kind of help reach, you know, what I believe the potential of the city is and could be.
Okay. So why youth? Is it particularly just the youth, or does it kind of cross over into other areas as well?
So like originally it kind of started out as youth. Like it was really to fill a gap that they had in their own sense of being. It was you know, I have a desire to belong to something. I have the potential to do good things, but I don't know how, and there's no resource out there for me to do that. How do I make that happen? So I like to say that the youth that were involved in the fruition of Community 204 are the heartbeat of Community 204. We didn't expect the reception of Community 204 to be so positive and so you know, continuously growing. And so what ended up happening is it transcended beyond just being a spot for youth, and now it's a spot for everybody. If you have a heartbeat, you can do heart work, and so it's worked out wonderfully.
I love that. I love the fact that it's kind of filtered out into other areas, but youth at the center of it, because youth are our future, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Now, what made you decide to start Community 204?
Well, you know, it started with the start of my story. I'm a product of the child welfare system. So throughout my life, I was entrenched in child and family services. And, you know, I come from a family dynamic that wasn't the healthiest. And that's as a result of different kinds of trauma and experiences that weren't dealt with. And so what that led to was me actually also having that yearning and that longing to fit in, to belong to something, but to also know who I am. When you grow up in some of those systems, you don't always know what your gifts are, and you don't really know where you fit in, and you don't know where your story is going to take you. And so growing up that way, I identified a lot of those issues that I was living with. And because of the dynamic I grew up in, I ended up being employed in the same field. I ended up working in various social work capacities and youth care positions, and they were going through the same things as me. And I was super fortunate to be introduced to a man named Mitch Bourbonnier, who is a legend in the city, a hero and a mentor of mine. And he took me under his wing and he taught me about community connection, lateral empathy, and the rest is history.
My goodness, that's a lot to pack in that description of how you got started. I want to touch on what you mentioned earlier when, if everyone has a heartbeat, you can have that connection. And so how important is it for someone to lead from the heart?
I think it's incredibly important because it speaks to what human nature should be. Humans are meant to work together, to be collaborative, to lean on one another, to uplift and support. I'm a firm believer in generosity and reciprocity. And when you tap into your own sense of empathy, a lot of those things seem to naturally take place. And a lot of those things lead to a sense of fulfillment you don't get anywhere else. And so when I say as long as you have a heartbeat, that means your heart is working, and that's important. And then you can engage in that heart work where it's like you're utilizing empathy and you're utilizing compassion and care, and you're putting that at the forefront of everything you do. And so that, again, that just taps into a lot of very meaningful engagement.
You mentioned about how a mentor truly inspired you and helped shape your future. How important is mentorship at Community 204?
Mentorship is everything. It's having somebody who cares for you unconditionally and puts your best interests at the forefront of their mind, but also incorporates their own experiences of what worked and what didn't and what's good and what's not into the way that they care for you is tremendous. And I think young people, no matter what your dynamic looks like, need some form of mentorship to live a meaningful life, but also to help encourage them developing into the best version of themselves. Right? And so that's the hope.
Absolutely. I mentioned earlier about youth being our future. Now, when we think about the direction that youth are going in, how are you incorporating leadership abilities and maybe some training in a sense of empowering them to become future leaders?
Well, like I give them a say in everything, right? Right down to the creation, the initial fruition of Community 204 was all inspired by the youth's voices. And then we put actions to correlate with their voices. And so we're talking the talk and we're walking the walk. And then as we incorporate more and more programming, the youth, it's all their say. It's everything that they see. They are wise beyond their years and they're very informative and they have access to devices that you and I didn't growing up. And so they're able to input their say and they're smart and they recognize when something is not working. They are very good at identifying gaps and saying it in a way that just makes sense. And then we just work together collaboratively to find ways to help alleviate them. And so that's been really huge. And then I think when the youth have a say and they're involved in the frontline work, they feel the impact of a vision that they had. And then so that's empowering in itself. It allows them to feel seen, heard, but most importantly, it allows them to feel supported. And a lot of times that a youth and systems go without that sense of support and empowerment. So
Tell us about the programming. What exactly are the different programs that you offer for youth and how they are involved in actually running those programs themselves?
Okay. Yeah, so we have so many programming. It started off as just a few things, but right now we've grown so much. So the core of what we do, it started off with Soups for the Soul. And what that was it was just provisions of basic needs for folks who are going without. Things that, everyday folk get, but they often take for granted. So food, access to appropriate clothing, hygiene products, beverages, water, coffee, things like that. There was folks going without that. And so that was our main programming. And the youth were involved in the direct implementation of that programming by preparing the food. So they're learning life skills, budgeting, the food groups and, creating healthy soup, but they're also participating in the direct service. So when folks see the young people partaking in that work, they're more receptive to receiving the service. And the youth are also seeing kind of where some of life's choices may or may not take you, but they're also seeing the humanity in folks who are often perceived as less than.
Yes.
And so there's just all this overlapping magic happening. Beyond that, we've engaged in some community walks where we're doing the same thing, but we're meeting folks where they're at in a harm reduction approach, having conversation, connection. We're going to them. We've got a boat now, so it's a seasonal thing because we do have some wonderful winters here. But we're out there on the water and we're patrolling the riverbanks and we're helping the folks that find themselves in encampments that have kind of removed themselves from institutions and buildings and residents. But we're also preventing folks from playing in the water in an unsafe manner because our water is very deceiving. We have a program that we're really utilizing heavily right now, and it's called Furniture Forward. and we're taking used dignified furniture pieces from folks that have an abundance, and we're redistributing that to folks who are just getting back on their feet, just starting off. Maybe they've overcome some tragedy, maybe fire or relocation, whatever the case may be. They get to come shop for whatever they want, whatever they like, as long as it's reasonable, and we bring it directly to them for free. We also do a moving program for folks that live with financial barriers, physical limitations, and we do free move jobs. So if you're just moving to a new location, we'll show up with youth. We plan the best route. We utilize our bodies physically. We plan, we work together, and we relocate families, and there's no expectation for any kind of compensation.
That's amazing, Daniel. I'm so impressed with all that you're able to do to help the community. Now, you must have an army of volunteers to help you.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have our core members that I'll refer to them as, and basically they're the ones that no matter what, beck and call you, they are down for everything. They just want to help and give back. But because we've been so well received, folks are often interested in figuring out how they can get involved, whether it be for their own personal interests, whether it be to get some volunteer experience on their resume. A lot of the volunteers can also secure academic credits for participation. And so that's been huge too. And yeah, so the door's open to anyone. And we've really developed some meaningful relationships with the volunteers so we can kind of determine who fits best where. And they've built some meaningful relationships with the community members too. So even if we're full, they'll still show up, and we welcome them in.
And you put them to work.
Absolutely. The more the merrier. Yes.
That's wonderful because, I used to run events and we'd have volunteers showing up, and the worst thing is having someone standing around doing nothing. Everybody wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to, be part of something. And so the fact that you incorporate everyone's welcome. I love that sense of community that you also are building within your Community 204.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Now, I want to touch on something that you spoke about at the I Am Love Project event. You were talking about how you, go along the riverbank and, help those that are in encampment. You shared a story that you were able to actually save someone. Now, would you be willing to share that story with us now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, life is certainly challenging for a lot of folks, and sometimes when you don't have those supports, you find yourselves in a dark place. And, we've had folks that certainly feel like maybe their life isn't worth living. And when they find themselves in the isolated riverbanks where folks aren't around, there isn't that voice of support. There isn't that opportunity to connect with somebody. Fortunately for us, we were kind of in that scenario. We happened to be on the water, and we seen a gentleman who just felt like life was overwhelming, and all he needed was conversation. All he needed was to talk to somebody and to be heard and to be seen, and for someone to really, really listen. And just through that conversation, we were able to deter some choices that they might have made, and we let them know that we hear them and we're there. And that person didn't feel so alone afterwards. And they're an active volunteer now. They find themselves giving back because they were at a low point, a dark place in their life, and lo and behold, the supports that were meant to be there were there. And it was certainly an eye-opening experience for us. And we consider ourselves extremely grateful that, higher powers led us to be there at the right place at the right time. And now we've met a friend. And that friend knows that he has friends. And so the relationships are reciprocal. And, he's been an advocate for other folks that experience those dark moments. And that's been tremendous. And so that too comes with the work that we do.
How important is hope?
Hope is everything. Hope is the light when it feels dark. Hope is the assistance when things feel heavy. It's the support and the spotter that you need when you feel overwhelmed. And I think that in a society that's always changing, in a world that sometimes can feel overwhelming, folks cling on to hope in hopes that things will get better. Right. And it's like a driving force for me. Hope is the only thing I ever had to hang on to, that, I hope things will get better. I know I deserve better. I know life has more to offer me than these circumstances that are beyond my control. So how do I make that happen? And so, with hope, there's a correlation with hope and inspiration.
Yeah. Now, when you think about empathy, we talk about empathy, we talk about leading with the heart, we talk about hope, about mentorship. What else can you offer that someone, they may not know necessarily what they're looking for, but somehow they're drawn to you? What do you say to someone when they are showing up and not knowing what to do? Or maybe, you know, in the example that you shared about that gentleman who felt he had no hope, what solace can you offer them? What is it? Words of advice? Is it just presence? What can you offer, or is it different for everybody?
I think it's different for everybody, but it's all those things that you mentioned. We offer an ear, we offer a shoulder, we offer a hug, you know, we offer just being present. We offer an opportunity for you to be a part of something. And you know, the hope is that whatever it is that you're navigating, you don't feel alone in that. You know, all those experiences that you were mentioning correlate with our beliefs. So we believe in lateral unity, that's coming together for a bigger cause. We believe in lateral empathy, that's having an emotional attunement to the experiences of others, regardless of what they're presenting as. And then we believe in lateral love. And that means whatever you're coming with, whatever you're carrying, at the end of it, underneath all of that, you are a human. And you deserve good things, and you deserve to be supported, and you deserve to be heard. So if we can offer an opportunity for you to receive all of those things, the hope is that you find that light at the end of the tunnel. You feel not so alone. You feel supported, and then you too can find a place in giving back. And so that's been the recipe for success thus far. And so we hope to continue that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's been good so far.
Good. Now, when you talk about support, now, with all the programming you're doing, all the wonderful work that you're doing in the community, what kind of support are you receiving from the community?
So the biggest thing, like, that we've been fortunate enough is one, the presence of people. That's been a huge support. When we put a call out for, you know, this programming or this event, who wants to be a part of it, I have no issues in securing enough people to fill those spaces. We've received support for the community, particularly during the pandemic, because folks just wanted to do something. When it comes to call-outs, right now we have a school supplies drive that's going on, and we've incentivized that with some prizes. Folks have been tremendous in collaboration and in supporting with tangible items. Local businesses are always eager to be a part of something, especially if it uplifts the city, because they rely on the local people.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
So it's been tremendous. And so we've done a lot with nothing. Like, we've never had funding. We've never been able to secure that. We're just frontline people that believe in doing the work. And so for us, that's been really tremendous. And we couldn't have gotten this far without people just being supportive in whatever capacity they can.
And I love that you're reaching out to people to help, because it's so organic. But at the end of it, money is a driving force, and money can solve a lot of what you're dealing with. Has the community supported you with funding directly to, say, sponsoring different programs, or have you tried to apply for grants from the government, for instance?
So we've done a little bit of both. So we've had organizations that have been tremendous by, you know, reaching out and offering. And those offers come based on the frontline experiences those individuals had. So I don't really know what everyone's employment history is or what their role in society is. I just know that they have a heartbeat, so they're welcome to come. Little do I know that they're CEO of this company or the president of that company, or they have extra funding specifically for community-based programming. And so they're always welcome and well received. There's no expectation for it, but we've been fortunate enough to secure some funding from stuff like that, like the Manitoba Teacher Society, the Indigenous Youth Roots. Like, we've had some wonderful organizations that have just reached out to us, and that's been tremendous, and we're always grateful for that. We've also had folks just donate to our website through PayPal. We've had individuals just approach us with cash.
Wow.
You know, and that's always amazing too. You know, cash, wow. But you know, when it comes to grants and stuff, we're learning to navigate that administrative world, where we acknowledge the necessity for data collection and connections and tangible information, so that we can appropriately apply for some of those grants that fall under the categories of what we're hoping to do. And we've been, you know, hit and miss, but, you know, when they do come through, it's tremendous. Because like I said, we've done so much with nothing, that every little bit of something, we can carry that so far. So far, yeah.
You know, when I was in fundraising, I used to say every dollar matters. Every penny matters, you know, and sometimes people say, well, I've only got $10, you know, $10 is more than we had yesterday. You know what I mean? So I understand the idea of starting from nothing, but I love the idea though of starting from nothing because you're building it from the ground up. You're involving the community in every aspect of its being. And it's happening organic. It's not like, I'm sure when you started out, you thought, okay, my goal is I'd like to take it here, or, you know, I want to do this. And having a plan is important, but sometimes going without a plan, but having maybe that direction coming from your heart. You know, maybe it's a higher power guiding you and helping you find that path to reach more people. And so I applaud you and I congratulate you on what you've been able to do so far with the community. And I know that you've got, you know, bigger ideas in terms of where you want to go with that. So can you share a little bit about sort of what's next for Community 204?
Yeah, I think we've always planned our intentions, but we've certainly just been building the plane in the air.
Yeah.
and it's led to some adventures, certainly. I think as far as the future holds, we're really trying to secure like a long-term all-in-one space. We have a building located downtown that serves one area of program, and we have another building on Main Street that's another area. We have a warehouse in Inkster, so we're kind of all over the map. It'd be nice to one day have everything secured in-house. And we're also looking to find a way to help meet folks where they're at when they're experiencing the extreme cold weather conditions, because that's certainly a fear here in Winnipeg, especially for our folks, our relatives that go without consistent or stable housing. And we recognize that and we see that. And so we're trying to secure some funds to get like a heated trailer where we can provide some of those basic needs anywhere that folks find themselves. So if there's an accumulation of folks in Osborne Village, we can kind of pull up there and help them. If there's an accumulation of folks on Higgins, we can pull up there. If there's an emergency evacuation in the city and folks are finding themselves struggling, we can go to them. And I think that would be something that's really cool. After we secured the boat, we really felt like nothing was out of reach. Like to go from nothing to like a really high quality boat was tremendous. So we certainly have our gaze to the stars and the sky's the limit. And I really believe in our team and what we can get done. But I also, more importantly, I believe in the work that we're doing. And I think that will carry us as far as we need to go.
I think you're right. And having that belief, not just in yourself, but also in what you're doing, and knowing that the work that you're doing is helping so many others out there. And also inspiring, like I said, your army of volunteers, the youth that you've been working with, who then in turn are inspiring others. In terms of youth, have you spoken to some schools maybe about getting the kids involved in what you're doing?
Yeah. So actually, it's funny you mentioned that. The schools reach out to us.
Oh, okay.
And they want to get their kids involved. So we've been collaborating with some MET programs for kids to secure credits. But we also have like just one-off events that they want to organize. So if it's wintertime, maybe a school will organize like a glove or sock drive or non-perishable food drive. So, you know, we're tapping into some of the school systems to get kids involved, because I think it is important that they understand why they're seeing what they're seeing when it comes to some of the impoverished areas. They understand why the system has kind of perpetrated some of those instances, but also the fact that even if they have nothing, they can contribute to some of the alleviation of those experiences. And that would really promote the sense of empathy they have, but also it empowers them to know that they can do something and they can make a difference, even if it's a small change.
And I know that sometimes youth fall through the cracks, and not just youth, but people in general. You know, they're, you know, for no, you know, fault of their own, they're left without anything. And having that sense of a belonging to come to you and know that they're welcome, that, you know, there's a friendly ear, like you said, an ear, a shoulder, a hug, you know, food, whatever they need to get them back on their feet, and then in turn give back. And so it's all about giving back and making a difference, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, how can others support you? How can they reach out to provide whatever you're doing? So you've got a school drive going on right now, and you've talked about, you know, going forward into the fall and winter, you know, providing clothing for those that need it. How can people help you?
So typically when it comes to like information gathering. We do have a website. It's www.community204.ca. Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We also utilize social media pretty heavily because, one, it's live.
Yes.
So you're seeing the events as they're taking place. If you have any questions on who we are, what we do, it's just right there laid out for you. We usually use Instagram the heaviest, the most amount, and that's community.204 on Instagram. And any of the inboxes that you're messaging or emails that you're emailing, you're talking to me directly. and I have brought on an administrative assistant to help ensure that whatever I agreed to or whatever you need, that you're actually getting that information, because it is getting quite full. And
Right.
so, but that speaks to people's desire to help. And so those two platforms are the biggest. But for those who know how regular our programs run, just show up. If you know Soups is on Sunday, just show up on Sunday. We do a walk on Wednesdays. Just show up. There's some frequently asked question page on our Instagram, and it's being added to our website too. So if you're hesitant to reach out and you don't want to, engage in conversation, the information will be there for you to just take in yourself.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for, first of all, sharing your story and sharing all the wonderful things that Community 204 is doing for those that really need it, and for helping the community wherever they are. And I appreciate you coming here, and thank you so much, Daniel.
Oh, thank you for sharing your platform. This has been amazing.
Wonderful. So this has been Coffee with Jenny B for the Multicultural channel. I'm your host, Jenny Sakoback.